Hello everyone! This is the second series of my devlog about the creation of my first game. So let me show you the new features I've added to this project. During a game I wanted the enemies to spawn continuously. To achieve this I had to develop a custom spawner that allowed me to adjust various parameters such as the maximum number of spawned enemies, the spawning frequency, the distance between the player and the spawner, and the specific types of enemies to spawn.
Nice.
The next thing I did was a shooting in 8 directions. First of all, I drew animations of shooting in different directions. Examples for it I took from the same sprite I had mentioned in my last video. It was pretty confusing to create a logic for shooting in 8 directions, and as a result I have this messy code for playing animations and shooting bullets. But I'm sure that my code will be better further after some refactoring.
Nice.
Then I decided to create 2 more levels. As for me, it's the most interesting and creative part of work. My task is to make as interesting a level design as I can. So each level should be a unique experience to keep the player engrossed in this game. The next thing I wanted to create was a new location of the acid dungeon with different monsters. The first thing I was drawing a background. Following that, I started designing new tiles specific to the dungeon's theme. After some time, I decided to scrap the idea of having the player fall into a hollow, and instead just add a damaging area such as acid or lava. Because falling into such traps has always been a source of frustration for me in games. This change not only saved me from dealing with the logic of respawning the player after falling into abyss, but also promised a better gaming experience. To represent the lava and acid, I chose to create animated tiles. And I must say, my decision turned out to be a successful one. And I also redrew levels with lava. Another animation I'd like to add is jumping. It'll be like in Contra games, because personally I think that jumping with flip looks cool. Now it's time for the lamest part of the game dev. The main menu. Although it's one of the important parts of making games, creating it was as puzzling as it's lame. But I found my personal way to switch the levels, locations and scenes that I like. So I've created an initial menu and player lobby for his upgrades and a menu for choosing areas and levels. I will not reveal the total number of levels in the game because I believe that knowing the game's length can reduce the excitement and interest of players. The game will be boring with a short variety of enemies, so I decided to add more. This type of monster will be shooting at the player, so I created a script that has 2 ways of shooting, not aimed shooting and shooting targeting the player. This addition should bring a refreshing challenge to the game. Drawing inspiration from the creepy aura that eyes typically evoke in horror art, I decided to create 2 monsters based in this concept. A tree with big eye and just an eye that will be attached to the walls. What about the player? I'd like he has a wide variety of weapons, so I got down to apply it. I began by creating different gun sprites for various directions. So that the gun was fit to the player, I had to cut out some visual details from the player to attach the gun on top of it. I created scriptable objects of guns to contain constant information about them. Then I created a gun selection lobby to choose a compatible weapon for the next level. If I want damage from a gun to affect how fast I can defeat enemies, I should create a system where enemies have different amount of life. The health of the enemies will depend on their difficulty level. Then I went further and I developed a visual representation of the enemies' remaining lives. It's clear that a challenging progression can make games much more exciting. So to get the player engaged in the game, I had to create a difficulty system. I'll have a game manager that shows the current difficulty level in the scene. Also depends on this number will depend on the severity of enemies, the amount of their life and their damage. I'd like the difficulty could change during the game, so I took this approach. In specific locations with the level there are colliders. When the player collides with a collider marked with a certain value, like 2, the level's difficulty will promptly escalate to that designated level. So it's enough for now. There's still a lot of work ahead, but I'm more inspired than ever to bring this game to life. Until next time, keep on gaming, keep on creating, and I'll catch you in the next episode of the Devlog. Bye.
It's time to stop! No more!